Hey guys, in today's video, I'm going to break down how I train every week as a hybrid athlete. I've accomplished 2 half Ironmans and I've been consistently bodybuilding for the past 6 years. And today I'm going to go over basically how I'm able to juggle both bodybuilding / strength training along with endurance training. Honestly, when I first started getting into endurance training about 3 years ago, it was really difficult for me to just kind of juggle, like I said, strength training. On one side of the spectrum, you're trying to look aesthetic, while on the polar opposite, you're training for functionality. And so I'm sure most people watching this video will be on either side. They're either currently bodybuilding with hypertrophy and they're trying to get into endurance training, or they're endurance training and they're trying to get into more strength training. There is a trade-off. Now, I won't say it's impossible, but it is very difficult to maintain your physique and maintain your endurance. The purpose of today's video is try to save the hassle and try to give you as much tips as I can, which will help you create your training schedule as a hybrid athlete. So my endurance journey started about 3 years ago. I was initially a bodybuilder. I wasn't training for any functionality, no mobility. I was just training purely for looks. One random evening of October 2022, I decided, hey, I'm gonna go for a quick jog. As you can assume, I did 2 kilometers around the block and I was completely gassed. I was so confused, and so I started to question. I'm like, wow, I've been bodybuilding for 5 years, yet I can't even run 2 kilometers. So am I really athletic? Am I really an athlete? And that's when I decided to set a goal of running a marathon the following year. And so this was the first case where I was presented with an obstacle. Do I continue training 5 days a week for hypertrophy and then just add additional training days on top of those workouts? Or would I completely dial back my workouts and focus strictly on endurance running? And what I did would surprise you. I ended up continuing to bodybuild 5 days a week. So I'd go to the gym in the morning and then I would hit a run workout in the evening.
Since I'm on the skinnier side, I really struggled to keep up with that calorie demand. And during my marathon training, I actually lost quite a bit of muscle mass.
And so being a person that has difficulties meeting my calorie requirements, this just made it even more difficult. And so that's why I lost a lot of mass.
If you're adding running on top of your strength training, it's super important to increase your calories accordingly. Otherwise, you're going to run into the same problem I did.
But I want to quickly transition into the idea of a hybrid athlete.
The whole hybrid athlete concept has exploded over the past few years. More and more, you're seeing bodybuilders deciding to take up running, and it's becoming a huge trend. But here's something you need to keep in mind. Don't compare yourself to these influencers you see on social media. Even though they look incredibly fit online, most of the time they're actually not as lean, shredded, or muscular as they appear. They use perfect lighting, the right angles, and only post the shots where they look their absolute best. So don't get discouraged. Focus on your own progress. When you first get into the pool or start running after a strength training workout, your legs are going to feel fatigued and heavy, but give yourself a little time to warm up.
If you're just beginning strength training and you've always been an endurance athlete for most of your life, this is going to be definitely difficult for you.
Once you get into the rhythm of your endurance workout, your muscles will loosen up and the soreness won't feel nearly as bad. In fact, most of the time, the soreness will be minor or even completely go away once you start moving.
Finally, moving forward, I want to go into my training schedule and what I'm currently doing at this moment. Like I mentioned, I just wrapped up my 2 half Ironmans this summer, and this is what I've been using as my training schedule every single week.
With my transition into triathlons, I've had to dedicate less time to strength training and a lot more time to endurance work. Out of the 7 days in a week, I'll typically do 2 swims, 2 bikes, and 2 runs, while still keeping 3 strength training sessions, most of those happening later in the week. Here's a quick snapshot of my training schedule. I work out every single day. From Monday to Friday, most workouts are about 1 to 1.5 hours, except Thursdays, which are strictly leg day with no endurance training. Feel free to pause the video, take a screenshot if you want to see my exact breakdown for each day. My total weekly training volume ranges from 14 to 18 hours, depending on whether I'm in a heavy training block or a taper week. Right now, having my leg day on Thursdays works perfect because it gives me enough time to recover before my long run and my long bike sessions on the weekend.
Mondays, I will have a swim. Like I said, it'll be about an hour, approximately 1,500 to 2,000 meters. Here, I'm just gonna focus on endurance, steady pace, and basically starting off the week strong. Moving forward, on Tuesday, I'll have my indoor cycling. So I'll load in either VO2 max, a tempo workout, intervals, something to really dial in on a specific thing that I'm trying to improve. Wednesdays, I'll have a track workout. Now this will be hills or speed work, something to make race pace feel easier. Thursdays, I take a break from endurance, and this is where I opt in for a leg day. I will include hack squats, walking lunges, I'll include RDLs. I'll hit a full leg workout. To wrap off the week, I have another swim on the Friday, and this is where I focus on drills. I'll include some paddle work. I will do technique and breathing. Finally, on Saturday and Sunday, I hit a push day and a pull day. It kind of varies what time of day. It all depends when I'm hitting those long runs or the long bike. My current training schedule has treated me very well, and I feel like it's perfectly fit so that I'm able to recover from those strength training days for those endurance workouts. And your training schedule between training for a marathon and for a half Ironman is completely different. It will honestly burn you to the ground if you continue to bodybuild as I normally would. It's just not manageable, it's super difficult, and you really do have to be on top of your calories, on top of your sleep. And I feel like at some point, if you don't keep your mental health on par, everything's just gonna come crashing down. Also want to quickly mention stretching. Stretching is super important. I don't stretch every single day, but that would be the goal. Now that I'm getting into triathlons, it is mandatory to at least do 2 to 3 stretches per week. Thanks so much for watching my video. I hope you're able to learn a little bit and get some bits and pieces that will help you create your own training schedule as a hybrid athlete.